Hello, good morning. Today I'm going to be presenting about augmented reality and how this technology is changing the tourism industry. So my agenda is going to be consisting of what is augmented reality, how does it work, why is tourism important, and here I will be including changes and trends in tourism, then including technology in touristic places, then including augmented reality in tourism. I will be explaining some examples of touristic locations that have included augmented reality in real life. How is the traditional industry being affected? I will be discussing the pros and cons of including augmented reality in touristic locations. And finally, I will be giving my conclusions. So I have two videos, they are really short. So as you can see in this video, it is explaining how augmented reality can be used in touristic locations to display information that will help tourists to move around the city and get more knowledge about the places that they are visiting. And I will be showing another one that was applied in a museum. And then I will be starting by explaining what is augmented reality. So, augmented reality is defined as a real time view of a physical and a real environment that has been augmented through computer generated information. This technology brings information to an individual surrounding through a device that's capturing the real world. As you could see in the first video, the person who was using this application could display information about the different touristic sites and display information about restaurants or train stations. So it makes mobility much easier in this context. Then through augmented reality, it appears to the user that the computer generation generated information is actually coexisting in the real world, which makes it easier to interact with it. Then augmented reality has three main characteristics. So it is a combination of the real and the virtual world. The user can interact with computer generated objects in real time, and it is designed to be combined in three dimensions so that everything generated can merge into the real world, no matter if the user is moving or if they want to move the object, they would be able to do it thanks to this technology. And it would still appear that it is a part of the real world. So, in this sense, augmented reality does not only provide information, but it also allows the user to generate data about their world. For example, this technology has been used in interior design, and the user is able to place their furniture wherever they want, and they generate data about how their furniture would look in a certain environment. And it is important to say that augmented reality can be applied in business by taking advantage of how customers interact with the real world and with the technological world. For example, there are some stores, some clothing stores that allow the user to take a picture of themselves. It looks like a three-dimensional picture, and they can try on clothes in that picture so that they don't have to actually go and try their clothes, which is much easier and much convenient to the user. So, how does this technology work? So vision generates 3D images from the same perspective as the objects that already exist in the world. For example, if we want the object to appear on top of the table, it would actually be there. Like it would seem like it is there. We would be able to look at the shadows and the dimension of an object being placed there. Human vision system is an approach in which the augmented reality program tries to replicate object in the same way as human brains would perceive it. This includes colors, changes in lights and dimension, and even it would be we would be able to perceive different materials or different textures through this system. And the ways in which a human can interact with this computer generated reality are wearables or smart glasses. Most of them have been already improved so that they are more comfortable and that they occupy less space. And mobile devices, which is technology that is still emerging. So, the different methods to generate augmented reality information depend on the environment, if it is indoors or outdoors, and the augmented reality system that's being used to generate this information. This is because there would be obviously light changes in the outdoors or in the indoors, and the system has to take this into account so that the objects look as real as possible and that they merge as good as possible with the real world. And in the case that the augmented reality device is mobile, such as a mobile phone, it is harder to generate the images, and some techniques might not be appropriate. This because this kind of augmented reality does not only rely on programs used to generate information, but also on some other applications and the phone, such as GPS. And it should be also taken into account that if the user is using this mobile device, it's because they're probably moving or because they probably need to have a perspective of different things quickly. So, why is tourism important? So, tourism is an activity that generates an effect in the social, cultural, political, and economic aspects of a region, country, city, etc. So, it is a complex activity as it includes all the activities dedicated to tourists, including their needs and their participation in different activities, depending on their personal interests. So the complexity of this industry is not only the creation of services and experience that will satisfy people, but also the fact that the consumer has to voluntarily visit these places, as opposed with other services or goods in which the service provider should reach the customer. So it is important to remember that this industry has experienced several changes, leading the different agents involved in this industry to include specialists who can take advantage of these new changes. And these changes and the new technologies have changed the way people consume and in consequence influence the way in which people access to tourism. For example, customers are now able to do everything that was in charge of travel agencies, modifying this industry. So they're able to book their own flights, look for their own hotel, and visit the places that they're more interested in. So changes over the years. Thanks to globalization, it is easier for people to get information about places and to visit them, which has increased the tourism levels. So now it's easier to move across cities or even across countries. And this has increased the tourism levels for some countries, and it has increased the interest people have on knowing new places. So this industry has grown to be one of the most diverse, and it is important for people in this industry to know other cultures and appreciate them. And it is important to remember that service is one of the most important aspects in this industry, and that it is one of the most valued things for tourists. Investments to increase quality are higher in order to improve the perceived value. So tourists can be very demanding and they will look for the best experiences constantly, and this definitely relies on the service that people in charge of this industry provide. So this is why it is important for them to be able to provide as much information and to know as much of a certain culture as possible. So what are the trends in the touristic industry? So there are different behaviors and trends that have become an important factor in the touristic industry. For example, tourists are looking for new, unique experiences that take them out of the routine. So now tourists are not as willing as they were before to, I don't know, stay in a hotel. They are looking for experiences and they will be more attracted to the destinations that will allow them to have this experiences that they do not have at their homes, for example. They're willing to get the most out of their experience by doing several activities. They're willing to try different things, try new food, and get actually immersed into the culture that they are interested in. And technology has played a key role since tourists do their own research and their own booking. So now it's not necessary for them to go to this touristic agencies. They are able to book hotels wherever it's more convenient for them, book flights at the times that they would like to travel, and they this makes it more easier for them because they're able to select the dates they are traveling in instead of adjusting to a touristic itinerary. And travelers are now aware of the ecological impact of tourism and are willing to have a more responsible experience and doing things that are more eco-friendly or that help them to be closer to the environment and to natural things. So, how is technology included in touristic places? So, the inclusion of technology in touristic places can make decision-making process easier for both tourists and service providers. So, in the case of tourists, they will be more able to decide which places they want to visit because they will get enough information about these places from their phones. And for service providers, it is easier to make decision making because thanks to technology, they get to actually collect data on what their tourists are interested about. And well, research has focused on developing systems that could allow tourists to get information through their mobile phones while they're at a specific location. For example, things like Google Maps or these touristic sites being on top of pages such as Trivago or something like that. It is easier for them um, to be actually considered by tourists as a place that they should visit. And these technologies are being developed through information needs and information seeking models that represent the study of human behavior. So now it might be easier for them through these generated data to actually understand what customers want and what experiences they want to get in each place that they are visiting. So technology in touristic places. So it is important to remember that these technologies should be focused on the tourists and their activities and interactions with the environment that they are in. As I mentioned previously, tourists are interested about the service, and thanks to these technologies, it should be easier to generate experiences that they are most interested in. And destinations should take advantage on the use of technology to connect, interact, and assist the customer in the online environment while being in the destination. And thanks to technology, the tourist is not limited to an experience only taking place in the destination, but also on virtual channels that will add a new perspective to the whole experience. For example, they will be able to communicate with other people that are interested in visiting this place or that have already visited this place and have, I don't know, tagged a certain activity in their social media. So they are able to generate connections with other people. And in this way, um, the experiences will be more popular and tourists will be even more interested in taking part in these activities. So, including augmented reality in tourism. So, including augmented reality in the touristic industry can help the tourists in various ways, improving their experience and providing them with more knowledge. As we saw in the video, this image is actually taken from the video. Here, the user is looking at places that where you can eat, where you can find museums, some locations that might be of their interests, and there are locations that even provide certain information so that the tourist has a more complete experience. So um, the tourism experience through augmented reality is a very complex one as it involves emotions, feelings, knowledge, and skills resulting from the understanding of the digital world merging with the real one. So what I mean is that if an augmented reality experience actually reaches its whole potential, it might enhance the experience and help the tourist have a much more complete experience, which will obviously be perceived as a better experience. And AR comes to the touristic industry at an appropriate time as this industry is currently in need of technologies that enhance the touristic experience. So, as I previously mentioned, tourists are looking for experiences that they do not have at their home countries or at their hometowns, and they want to experience new things. And thanks to augmented reality, they will be able to do it through different activities that might involve this technology. For example, the museum one that I showed you, tourists are able to see this information in a clearer way, and it generates a bigger impact. So, augmented reality in tourism. Augmented reality tourist guides satisfy tourists' needs by providing them with specific information. This technology allows the person to explore in a more efficient way and to actually select the locations that they're more interested about, and to know things or facts that they will find more interesting than others. And in some cases, tourists will not only get information, but they will be able to understand in a deeper level the place they are visiting through reconstructions of historical locations, as we previously saw in the museum video. And in some cases, there is a chance to give the tourist a much more complete experience by actually showing them through augmented reality locations that are inaccessible or hard to visit. For example, in France, they have this extreme tour where people climb mountains and they go to a really high spot in the city where they can have a view of uh, interesting locations, and they have a bigger perspective of it through augmented reality. So, augmented reality in tourism. Tourists are interested in richer experiences and in being completely absorbed into the touristic experience, including information and different realities that will allow them to perceive in a better way culture and information. So, augmented reality would not only enhance the experience while walking on the street, but also while looking at places in a museum. By getting a deeper experience, the user can increase their understanding by comparing what they are seeing in the device and in real life. For example, in this case, in this museum, they're seeing this piece like as they found it, and through the augmented reality system, they can see it as it was in the real life, in in the times where this piece was built. So, including augmented reality in both indoor and outdoor museums, the experience would be more interactive, enhancing the way in which tourists gain knowledge and experiences, which is one of the main reasons why people travel, because they're interested in knowing and experiencing more things that they do not usually experience while they're at their homes. So one of the most common and effective ways to use this technology in touristic sites is the QR code. So in this case, a customer can even customize the information that they would like to receive according to their age, interests, etc. So if they go to a location where they are more interested in and they find a QR code, they can scan this one, and maybe the next one it's not mandatory that they see it because they are not as interested in it as they were in the previous one. And points of information are another way in which this technology is implemented. Remember tourists to visit certain places where they will be able to find an enhanced experience. So they are able to um, have a bigger experience of certain places. For example, in this picture, they're looking at dinosaurs, and through augmented reality, they're getting a much more real experience. And these tools are sometimes integrated into social media, which allows people to communicate with other tourists and build a stronger network of tips and knowledge. So they are actually able to upload what they saw in the augmented reality system to their social media, generating more awareness about these touristic locations that are including this enhanced experience. So, augmented reality is a useful tool when teaching people about culture and heritage, as not only it is interactive and attractive, but it also saves spaces in the locations. So now it's not necessary to include, I don't know, a model of buildings, and instead they can see it in their phones. And this technology also helps young tourists as the image generated by augmented reality provide useful information that help the youngest to understand better culture and history. So in this way, they will be able to perceive in a clearer way how things were before or how things were supposed to be in the past. And in this way, they will understand better their history. So augmented reality and tourism. Smartphones represent the most convenient technology for um, a touristic experience with augmented reality. And um, this is because they're practical and they occupy less space than other devices. And it is supposed to work like this. So when users point their cameras at certain spots, the animations could appear. And this technology can be used in various sites such as billboards, posters, newspapers, or any other element that is presented in a touristic spot. So touristic augmented reality projects that are currently being developed or that have already been applied. So Tuscany Plus is the first augmented reality application that was designed specifically for touristic activities in the Tuscany region, and it delivers information in both Italian and English regarding accommodation, food, nightlife, etc. So in this way, people are able to move in an easier way and around the city. Another one is augmented reality for Basel, and this is a project that aims to enhance touristic experiences in the city, and information is presented in English, German, French, and Spanish, so that it accommodates tourists from various parts of the world. Urban Sleuth has a different approach for the ones that like to get unique experiences. So this application takes the tourists in a city experience where they're supposed to solve mysteries and carry out missions while seeing animations in the streets. Another one is the Street Museum that was designed specifically for London, and it allows the user to have a view of the city in different time periods with images and information provided by the Museum of London. And this image is actually from the Street Museum. So example, Arthur, this application is an augmented reality touristic guide designed specifically for the city of Riobamba in Ecuador. And the app displays different touristic locations in 3D. Some of the main locations are the cathedral and the Sucre Park. And this app uses a map indicating the places in which tourists will be able to visualize 3D objects in real time. The app has already been used by some tourists, and most of them mentioned that the experience was really good, and they rated the app with 5 stars mostly. Currently, the app only allows 3D views of buildings from the outside, but on the next phase, they are planning to include interactive features in the inside of each building so that they can look at murals in a closer from a closer perspective and get even more information about this. Another example was in South Korea, in the Jeju Island, which is one of the most popular places amongst Korean tourists. In this place, there are waterfalls, museums, and several theme parks. One of them is the Karak World theme park, which features several attractions for young and adult, including an interactive augmented reality experience. This experience is located in a showroom where different 3D characters are overlaid by using a marker-based augmented reality technology. Users are able to interact with these characters through a screen that features a book full of animations, and these characters will move and react um, as the user does different things. So at the same time, in these characters tell stories from the Jeju Island, which is a really good experience for young people mainly. And then, how is this technology changing the touristic industry? So, if it's properly used, augmented reality could be one of the most useful tools in touristic marketing by helping people to find information of what they would like to do in their next holiday. This technology might also be pre-requested, which would bring a much more memorable experience for each user, as they would actually get information of the things that they were interested in, making them feel special and valued customers. And in the touristic industry, augmented reality's value is still not completely understood and it's yet to be studied, but the experience that have already been generated uh, were very well received by the audience. The adoption of augmented reality in this industry brings economic value to the touristic side as people will be attracted to this new technology, and in consequence, they will contribute to the museums through a better engagement. Augmented reality will also help the sites to gain recognition as interested and involved tourists will talk about it and will most likely post on social media that they had a different or unique experience in this place, and this would work as a good promotion. And augmented reality will attract the younger audience, which might not be fully interested in art and culture yet, but through augmented reality, their involvement and enjoyment will increase as they are getting a better perspective of things. Then pros and cons. So some of the pros I found uh, through this research is that augmented reality increases attractiveness in touristic sites in all senses, as it generates a better experience and it provides useful information that the user is interested in. And the cons is, first of all, that it's not fully studied, so its potential has not been fully exploited yet. Some people might not understand how this technology works, and programming augmented reality for outdoor touristic sites might be harder, as several factors should be taken into consideration. And finally, the conclusion is that augmented reality is a very useful technology in the tourism industry as it brings benefits for both tourists and service providers. This technology can be used in various forms and in various touristic contexts, which makes it really practical and convenient when in an unknown city where it might be easy to get lost or not fully understand the culture. Augmented reality brings knowledge and cultures closer to those who are interested in knowing more, and it helps people in the touristic industry to gain recognition and attract people from all ages and with different interests. And these are my references.